Well, hey everybody, it's me, Mitch. Well, that countdown ended fast. I thought I had at least 5 more seconds. Well, here I am. Here's the back of me. I'm hoping everybody can hear me okay. If you can't, put it in the chat. And if you're tired of looking at the back of me, well, there you go. There's the front. Good to see you all. Well, we got 29 people here so far. I didn't know what to expect tonight. Holiday week and all has, boy, it's just got everything off of my normal schedule. And I guess I must be a victim of routine, because it just seems like everything is crazy out there. I went to some stores today, and I don't know whether there were more people there looking for bargains or returning crap they got, but it was crazy. And the traffic is busy. But at any rate, I just want you to see I wore my most festive shirt tonight. I don't have a lot of holiday wear, but this one, even though the flowers are blue, I figured it's about as close as I'm going to get to looking like Santa Claus for the holidays. So ho ho ho, everybody. I hope you all had a great great holiday so far. And this is the week where everybody just kind of forgets about everything and chills. I don't expect I'd be surprised to see a huge turnout tonight. The videos that I've posted this week have pretty much gotten about half the views that I normally get. And I kind of expected that. In fact, I may do one more video, 2 tops, before the end of the year. But if I have something that I think is something important I'm trying to get across, I'd like to know that half my audience isn't on the roads or vacationing somewhere, or busy punishing themselves for all the crap they ate over the holidays. And that's another thing. I hope you all were successful. Hope you were successful resisting the temptation, stuffing yourself full of meat. And if you did happen to fall off the wagon, or the wagon itself got derailed and went flying off a cliff with you in it, it's okay. It's okay. It's no big deal. I always look at it this way. How many years did we spend eating crap? Years, every day, all day, eating that crap, and somehow we're still alive. We may have gotten sick, but we're still alive. One more meal, one more dalliance, in the overall long-term scheme of things, means nothing. It only hurts the most if you're an addict and it starts triggering more binges and takes you off the rails. But as far as the actual, I think, nutritional value of the stuff, big deal. Big deal. If it doesn't trigger addictions, it's no problem. We got a lot of people in the chat there. I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. I'm going to try to be a little more relaxed tonight. I don't think we're going to go for 2 hours, but I always say that, and we always do. My disclaimer first, guys. I'm not a doctor. I'm not what our society would call a lettered scientist. I'm just a guy with a huge curiosity who likes to figure stuff out. And I've been doing that all my life. I think that's a legitimate education as much as anybody else, because the things that I figured out and learned, I've looked for logic and common sense and all that stuff. I just didn't sit in a classroom, watch a PowerPoint presentation, take a multiple choice guess test, get handed a diploma, and thrown out in the world without really knowing too much. But nobody knows that. You don't know that. If it ever, if anybody sued me because they say the advice I gave them killed them, I'd be stuck and looked down upon in a court of law. What? You're not a doctor? So I say every time, and I try to make this perfectly clear, that everything I say is just an opinion. It's something that I think I got right. I've experimented on myself. It worked fabulously. It's continuing to work. But that's an N of one. You guys, all of you, write these comments to me. And in these comments, you tell me stories about yourselves, and it's doing the same thing for you. And then I watch Ken Berry's channel, and I see thousands of comments where people say it's doing the same things for them. And that continues to build up my confidence in the fact that I'm not misleading anybody and sending you down any kind of path towards ill health, because the simple logic of what we do, eating what everybody likes to call an ancestrally appropriate diet, can't be wrong. It just can't be. So I have confidence that I'm not giving anybody bad advice, but we're all individuals. We all come to this in different stages of being overweight and unhealthy, and we may have medical conditions that still require care. So we all need to still think for ourselves and not just blindly follow anybody. And I don't want anybody just blindly following me, because you and I may be different enough that it might do something else for you than it does for me. I did come on here because I want to help. I want to help. I've been at this a long time, with few exceptions, longer than most of you, which gives me the vantage point that most of the other people on YouTube don't have. There's no shortage of people to tell you how to do this diet. It's so simple. There's no shortage of people telling you recipes. But I think I'm kind of unique in that I try to go down these rabbit holes and explain why these things are happening to us and how this diet actually works to fix them in reality. So that's a hard road to go. It's a hard message to get across sometimes. A lot of people aren't interested in that. They just want to find out how to cook bacon and eggs. And so I do that too. At any rate, think for yourselves, research for yourselves. And in that vein, I'm working on, about a month ago I announced it, but on my website I'm going to have pages of references to what I think are some of the greatest videos on YouTube on 30 or 40 different subjects and aspects of the history and biochemistry and other things that I learned from in my journey over the years. And I want to make that available to everybody. I've had that. I just have been building this library of things. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos, and like I say, 30 or 40 different topics from every one of the doctors that I respect on YouTube. And so that'll be there probably sometime in January, maybe on one of the live streams I'll introduce it. But I've been working on that. I want you to have the benefit of the studies and the source materials that I've studied over the years and enable me to draw the conclusions about how this works, and more importantly, why it works. Another thing I wanted to kind of help you to understand is, I won't do this now. If I start doing that, save it for another time. I'll go down a rabbit hole, and 2 hours from now I'll still be talking. Let's start saying hello to some of you guys out there. What do we got here? We got 51 people. Not a bad start for a holiday week. We have William McCartney said hello to me. I said hi back. How you doing tonight? Dusty Miller, great setup. Yeah, it's pretty neat for doing live streams. It lets me be the producer, lets me be the director, lets me do all that one man, whereas most broadcast studios have a whole bunch of people manning all these different things and queuing up all the different aspects of it. But I've got right here, I've got a bunch of push buttons that allow me to change scenes. If I push this button, it'll change it back to me. Okay, we got Rocket 99. How you doing? Hello. And Andrew H. Hey, Andrew. How you doing? Andrew's a community member. Thank you. And next we have Fernando Pasos. Hello to you, sir. And Nellio's Nook says, Mitch, could you comment on oxalate purging? All right, I'll stop here real quick and make a few comments on it. It's a very complicated subject, but oxalates, as we all know, are bad things to eat because they're very chemically reactive and they react with minerals. They bind up real easily. And when they bind up with these minerals, they form a glass-like crystal that is shard-like with very sharp edges. And you get too much of this stuff in your kidneys, they bind with calcium and form calcium oxalate, which is what like 80 or 90% of kidney stones are made of. And they're spiny little buggers and sharp edges, which is why when you try to pass them through the ureter into the bladder, they want to dig in and hold on for dear life, and that's where all that pain comes from. Some of the richest oxalate foods just so happen to be the foods that the healthy fruit and veg community tells us are superfoods. Superfoods: spinach, dark chocolate, almonds, extremely high in oxalates. And people will they won't just eat a few almonds and a small amount of chocolate and a little spinach in their salad. No, they don't do that. They take a ton of this stuff, throw it into a blender, make a smoothie, which has the amount of oxalates in it that 100 servings of these things individually would have, and they gulp it down and they think that that's being healthy, and they follow that up with a fruit smoothie and get their, 200 grams of sugar in one dose, and they walk away feeling good about themselves. Man, I just had a healthy breakfast, and they wonder why they're in the hospital with kidney stones and diabetes. Well, that's the problem we have. The problem we have is our society is built around that stuff, and they consider those things healthy. And the red meat is where all the problems are. So, don't eat red meat. You'll get diabetes, you'll get cancer, you'll get heart disease, you got everything from it. But go ahead and keep downing those mega oxalate smoothies that you do, green things that you do every morning, and put some kale in there while you're at it. So what happens is when you go off of all that and you get on a carnivore diet, now you're eating no plants, so you're getting no oxalates. The body doesn't like this stuff. It can't use it. And what it does is it puts it in places. It makes stones out of it, like in your kidneys. It finds places in your joints, and it builds up in there. And it keeps it there because new oxalates keep coming in. And then what happens, according to, what's her name? Sally Norton, who seems to be one of the best studied people that I've seen in the science of oxalate and oxalate dumping or purging. she says, and I think if you're interested in this, just look up Sally Norton, and she's got a number of videos and has been a guest on a number of live streams with, or interview videos with just about everybody on, in our space. When the new oxalates stop coming in, the body evidently, from the way I understand it, sees this as an opportunity to start getting rid of all this crap that it's been finding nooks and crannies to store away. And it will start to be absorbed, and that's as bad as eating it. In fact, you might get a higher dose of these oxalates when it starts dumping. I haven't, it's been over 15 months, 16 months, going on 17 since I started carnivore. I know my kidney stones I had 8 kidney stones. I know that, I think I've passed 2 or 3 of them without any prolonged pain, just a little twinge, sharp twinge. You can tell when they're going. And because they shrunk small enough to start moving around. They were all big enough to be immobile in my kidneys, but I still knew they were there. Well, they're getting smaller, and I expect that those that I have left over the next few years will probably pass too. But I also had another interesting phenomenon that Sally talked about, and that was I didn't get a lot of them, but I'd get a small little sore, like a pimple, on my arm, on my leg, and it started out as a red spot, and then it developed a little head, and it started to itch. So naturally, I started scratching it, and when I scratched it, it broke open, and it was a tiny little thing, and inside that little head of that little pimple, I know it sounds disgusting, but it wasn't. It was interesting. Was a tiny little crystal amber-colored shard of what looked like amber-colored glass. And it was tiny, maybe a millimeter or 2 long. And it was inside. And I had that happen maybe half a dozen times, and I haven't had one for a while. And I tried to save that little shard, but they got away from me. You drop them or they pop off, and you never find them again. They're too small. But I got a good look at them, and they were amber colored, and they looked like a shard of amber colored glass. And I'm pretty sure, since I've heard that this happens, that was my body getting rid of these poisons that are in all these so-called superfoods that we've been guzzling because everybody knows how good they are for you. That's sarcasm, by the way. So that's what I know about oxalate purging. I know that there's a tremendous amount of information out there on it, and all you need to do is just in YouTube or Google, just look it up. So I hope that answers your question. We have Richard Williams from Copper Hill, Tennessee. I did hear from Robert a few days ago, Richard, from Copper Hill. So there is somebody else out there with you. I think, did I say hello to Dusty? I'm a nomad, made a great patty tonight. Oh, air fryer, minced sausage. You're making me hungry, huh? Can't read that stuff. Martin Nowinski. How you doing, Martin? Good to see you. Yeah, Mitch is on tonight. What holiday? Randy K. Hey, Mitch. Randy's my good buddy, T-shirt wearer. And Randy bought the first T-shirt from my T-shirt store. I'll love him forever. And he's a great guy. He's a member of our private community. He's been on our Thursday night live stream with us, and I consider him a good a friend at this point, not just a follower. So thanks, Randy. Thanks for all the support. Hi, Mitch. I'm 62-year-old. Been a carnivore since June 1st, down 40 pounds. Blood pressure has dropped 25 points. It's normal now, feeling great. Bacon tea. Yes, sir, Randy. Yes, sir. Thanks for everything, man. Thanks for being here. Linda Price. Hand pink waving. I guess was supposed to be a emoji. that got translated. Victory's here. Hiya, Victory. How you doing? Megan. Hey, yo, everyone. And you guys are talking to each other here. I want to say hello to somebody that... here is the cranky carnivore cutler. How you doing? Good for you, sir. Stuck it out over the holidays. I'm glad to hear that. And I'm trying to remember. I think it's John. So let me know if I got it wrong. But I'm still desperately trying to put names with all the people that I see on a regular basis. So I hope I'm right, because otherwise I'll be embarrassed. And we have Rocket and Megan. Megan says, by the way, why does sugar withdrawal cause headaches? Always wondered about that. I can't tell you that. I don't even think the neurologists know the answer to that question. What causes headaches and what doesn't. Strange sometimes. I know everybody tells me if I stop drinking coffee, I'll get terrible headaches. And I've stopped drinking coffee and I never got the first headache. In fact, I can't remember, I hate to say this, knock on wood, but I can't remember the last headache I had. I just never have gotten headaches. Maybe I'm not even from this planet. God, wouldn't that be fun? Linda G says hello, how you doing? And Coco says hello, how are you? Greetings all. And Cranky says, my type 2 diabetes in remission, my red blood cells have reactivated and my erectile dysfunction is gone. Good to know. And back when I was 20. Dusty, I don't know if that's a little too much information or not, but I'm proud of you, man. And that happens. I'm telling you, that happens. You know, we can maybe one night have a men-only little men's club meeting and just really talk about that stuff. But some of the women make it uncomfortable. Anthony Mason, how you doing, my friend? Happy Christmas to you, too. We get... And Rafser says, Merry Christmas, how you doing? And I don't know, Linda, did we say hi to you? Sally, yeah. Oh, you're talking about Sally. Yeah, she wrote a great book, and she, her story is absolutely amazing about how absolutely sick and crippled up she was from the oxalates, which drove her to do the research to discover this. And when you look at her today, you'd never know it. You'd absolutely never know it. Jay Hoggart, how you doing, my friend? Easy Rider 4X. How you doing? Hi, Mitch. Just had great wings dinner prepared in my Z-Star air fryer. Yes, sir. Good for you. Good for you. What I did today, yesterday I made myself 2 big racks of baby back ribs that I got out of Sam's. And there was places on those where they were this thick. The meat was so thick. And I cooked them in the oven like I do. I put them in, just as a refresher for you guys. Take a half-sheet pan, and I have one of those cooling racks that fits in it. Well, what I do is I line the pan with aluminum foil. I put the cooling rack over it. I put the ribs, meat side down, bone up, on the open rack. No foil, no covering, no nothing. I put it in a 275-degree oven for 3.5 to 4 hours. I take them out of the oven. I cut each one of the racks in half. If I'm not going to eat them that day, I put them all in a big Tupperware thing in the refrigerator. So I've got 4 meals there. And when I'm ready to eat them, I just take them and I use that air fryer. I put them in the basket, not on the grill, but actually in the basket. I cook them for 6 minutes with the meat side up, not down, meat side up, 6 minutes on 400 degrees on the air crisp setting. And God, sometimes if you actually cut them up before you put them in the air fryer, they're better. But they are so good. And I had that as my first meal of the day today. And I got to tell you, half a rack of those ribs, they were so fat and there was so much meat on them that I was exhibiting the Ken Berry comfortably stuffed feeling. And I was good until 4 hours later when I made myself about a pound of hamburger. And I've gotten in the habit, and it's the funniest thing to see, is I used to make 2 hamburger patties. And I said to myself, why am I making 2 hamburger patties? So I take the whole big clump of a pound or more of hamburger, and I throw it in a frying pan, and I squish it down into a hamburger patty about this big around. And I make myself one gigantic hamburger. And that's what I had, and that's all I had today. And that's what's amazing. The amazing thing is, I couldn't even think about food right now, let alone eat anything else. And I won't even have an urge or desire to even start thinking about food until about noon tomorrow. And that's why this thing works. That's why it works. Where were we? We got, BB1 Mac. Hi, Mac. How you doing? Late, but I'm here. Well, you're not that late, man. 25 after. We won't put it on your permanent record. And we got, Lori's here. Carnivore Cheer. You all remember Lori, do you? From last week? Or Lori was in our private chat too. Hi, everyone. Greetings from San Jose, California. Good to see you, Lori. How are you? Hope your holiday's going well. And my buddy Jody, Drone Shots. Jody is one of my old followers of my drone channel, and we became friends, and I met Jody down here at a drone fly-in a few years ago, and we had a great time. So good to see you, Jody. And here is, I've reached the bottom of the chat. Excellent answer about oxalate purging. Itchy forearms. Yeah, that might be, that you just might be doing it. I mean, when those things, if they do develop into sores, be careful when you scratch them because they do pop open, and see if you don't notice that if it doesn't have that little tiny crystal. Tiny crystal. But the good news is that shit's getting out of your body now, and that's I think what we want, what we really want to happen. So I'm glad that answer was helpful. And here we have, I use Mitch's rib method. Yeah, that comes out good, and it's so easy. God, and it's not even much of a mess. You got the only thing that's a mess is the rack, that little cooling rack, cleaning that thing. But what I do is I just fill the sink with some soapy water, let it soak for a few hours in warm soapy water, and then stuff just comes right off easily with a sponge. So it's not that bad. But the actual sheet pan itself is covered in foil, so that doesn't even get dirty. Carnivore Cheer. Lori, I'm enjoying a few days off work. Good for you. Good for you. We had a great Christmas. Quarter pounders are for amateurs, while whole pounders were, yeah. I think that here's what I do now. I haven't made a video. You know, these things change. I don't know if my life is like that. I have routines. This is decaf, by the way. I would be up all night if I was drinking caffeine now. I never drink this stuff in the evening, but I do when I have live streams. Don't ask me why, but I like it. I have routines in everything, but I find that everything in my life, my interests, my hobbies, my marriages, whatever it is, I have a tendency to always be looking over the next hill, want to know, what is it that I don't know? What haven't I tried yet? And this carnivore thing in my head is still a developing science, and there's still, I think, a lot more we don't know or have proof of than we do know. And I think that where the human race has missed the boat in nutrition science is they've closed their minds, which is why we're having such a problem. They've got too much invested in the ridiculous food pyramid and the stuff that they're telling us is healthy, and it's killing us, and they won't change. But real science says you can't marry yourself to your hypothesis. You have to always be trying to prove yourself wrong. And that's the only way you'll ever know if your hypothesis is right. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, I'll give you one of the science community's greatest accepted theories, considered a fact. And that is the Big Bang. We've all heard of the Big Bang. It sounds far-fetched when you talk about it. 13.8 billion years ago, nothing exploded, and the universe was born, and it was there. And it all came out of nothing. Nothing. A singularity. That doesn't sound possible. And yet, all the mathematics and all the physics and everything else and all our observations of the galaxies and the planets and how they're expanding and how they're moving and all the relationships and the redshift, so we can tell how fast they're moving. We have telescopes that can see these things, and everything fit this big picture. 13.8 billion years ago there was nothing. 13.8 billion years later we have the universe, which is unimaginably large. And that was just accepted, and people built their careers on this, researching this, discovering new ways to prove this. And then we launched the James Webb Telescope. If you keep up with science, you'll know what that is. Anyway, the James Webb Telescope now sits in a position 1 million miles from Earth, between the Earth and the Sun, at the point where the Sun's gravity and the Earth's gravity, pulling from two different sides, keep it in one place. So there it sits, 1 million miles from Earth, with instruments and telescopes on it that are so far advanced from things like the Hubble that it's not even in the same league. And this James Webb Telescope for the past year has been shooting pictures of everything and sending these pictures back to Earth. And all these scientists and physicists and astronomers are looking at these pictures and seeing things that aren't supposed to be there. I mean, I think there's certain comedy and irony in this, because it knocks everybody down just a peg. They found galaxies further away that pretty well say, if that galaxy is there and it's this far advanced and that far away, then it was there before the beginning of the universe. And the entire scientific community goes, say what? And now they have you start to see these new theories pop up about maybe there's two universes, maybe the universe is older than we thought. But this just goes to show you how new evidence that makes sense and doesn't jive with the old methods can turn an entire accepted theory and thought on its head in a minute. And that's what that exact same thing needs to happen in the field of nutrition science, because we already know that the evidence is there that proves to us beyond a shadow of a doubt that it isn't the fat that's killing us, it's the sugar. And they won't change because the reasons why people who have any kind of a vested interest in their theories staying relevant fight that change with propaganda. It's why any loser politician fights to stay in office and will do any dastardly and underhanded thing, consequences be damned, to discredit the opponent, his opponent, that thinks differently. And this is what happened in the nutrition science community back in old Ancel Keys' day. Ancel Keys was busy running around, himself already having accepted his hypothesis that cholesterol, the diet heart hypothesis, that the cholesterol and saturated fat cause heart disease and heart attacks. He had convinced himself that that was true, even if he had to manipulate a study or two to do it. That didn't matter. He knew he was right. And over in Europe, there was a guy named John Yudkin, another scientist. And John Yudkin said to the scientific community, Ancel Keys is wrong. The culprit is sugar. So now we have two opposing points of view getting attention. Well, Ancel Keys was a dirty, politically connected hack that would pull any dirty trick, and he went to work, him and his people, and in our equivalent today, they pretty much canceled Yudkin. They discredited him. They ruined his reputation. I don't know what happened to him, but nobody ever really heard of him after that. And Ancel Keys went on to influence the government and the colleges and everybody else, convincing them that he was right and that his cholesterol is the culprit, and dietary fat kills you, and carbohydrates are good for you. And his influence was felt very strongly, along with the Seventh-day Adventists, in the government committee meetings that were putting together the first food pyramids. And that's why we ended up with what we have. The amazing thing is 50 years later, that came out in 1980, so it's 44 years later, we still have that today. And yet more and more and more people like us, little revolutionaries, are proving them wrong on a daily basis. And with logical thought, with stuff that makes sense, we're proving them wrong. And they won't even look. The doctors, when you take a study to your doctor, and he says, I don't have time for that. I'm the doctor, I'm the smart one. Don't you tell me, fire the guy right then and there. But that's what they do. Their arrogance is amazing. I don't know if it's more ego or what it is, but they don't want to know. They feel, how could a uneducated old fool like me know anything? I didn't go to med school. And my answer to them is, the stuff that I know is the stuff they don't teach in med school. I wish they had taught it to you in med school, because it is real. It is the truth. It is science. And we're beginning to see these things more and more and more. And along with us coming up with all this evidence that the cavemen were doing it right. They were eating meat and fat. And the only time they ate sugar was when they couldn't find meat and fat, and that was a temporary survival thing. And that explains, like I keep saying, all of the reasons why we react to sugar like we do. We're still living back in the caves. When we run across sugar, our subconscious thinks that there's just no food, and we need to scarf up all that sugar that we can find, and we do. And there's a physiological reason why we react to foods with sugar and with carbs in them differently than we react. And that was that those foods were a last-ditch survival effort when the hunt went bad and you didn't have any meat stored up. But we are meat eaters. There is no doubt about that. I mean, the simple little logic, and it sounds almost like a joke, is you don't see paintings of Caesar salads on cave walls in France where Cro-Magnon lived. You don't see broccoli paintings. You see hunters with spears and big-ass ruminant animals. You see bison, you see big animals. That was their life. That was what they did. That's how they lived. That's how we developed the programming that runs that animal mind of ours today. And that's just a fact. And if you study enough about this stuff, all the pieces of this huge puzzle just start coming together. And that's how you know when you're right. Because when a new piece of a puzzle comes along, and you've got this gigantic puzzle already 90% complete, you have to find a place in that puzzle that you've built over the years and years for that piece to fit. And if there's something hokey about that piece and it doesn't fit anywhere, it's not part of that puzzle that you call common sense reality. And I lived my life that way. I didn't start thinking about this stuff when Ken Berry started talking about carnivore. I wrote that book 20 some years ago. That whole book is about all of this kind of stuff that I was on a road to discovery back then, about how everything works for real. It has to fit in a picture of reality, and that's the thing about reality. There can only be one reality, period. I mean, you can't have two different real things that for the same event. There's just one version of reality that's true. Nobody knows everything about that version of reality, but the big stuff you can kind of figure out. And then when you see something happen, you see, well, that fits. That fits. I see bad human behavior, I can tell you why. I understand. It fits right in there. Why people behave badly. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Excuse me. Let me get back to the chat here. Where did I leave off? It went way by me. Oh God. Did I miss any questions that anybody may have had? I see Julia's here. Hi, Julia. How you doing? Good. Good to see you. We have a lot to learn, Matt Hawkins says. Yes, we do. And Anthony Mason is here. Hi, Anthony. Sugar, headaches, migraines are the bane of my life. I don't know what to tell you. Aspirin. I don't guess aspirin hurts you. I'll tell you a funny story real quick. If you were here last Tuesday, you remember I had what I thought was a sprained ankle, and I had it up on a little stool underneath my desk. Well, I had 2 miserable nights. I lost 2 nights' sleep because of the pain of that. And yet, I refused for 2 days to take an Advil. That shows you how ridiculous my thinking has become. When I think back at how many painkillers that I've taken in my lifetime, and the fact that none of them killed me, I can't imagine, but it had been at least a year and a half since I had any kind of a pill except maybe a supplement like an electrolyte pill, magnesium or something like that. And I just didn't want to do it. I finally broke down, and I took 1 200 milligram Advil the next morning, which normally isn't enough to do anything. Well, it was enough. The pain lessened. I had a little bit of swelling. It started to be better. So 6 hours later, I took another one. And I took a total of about 6 of them over a day and a half. And the pain went completely away, the swelling went away, and I was back to normal. I still wanted to baby it a little bit, but I was walking right, I was walking straight. It was like it had never happened. And then it's been a week now, and I went for a walk. I'm totally back to normal. So whether carnivore helps you heal fast or not, I can't say, because I don't know what the hell I did to that angle. But I'm all better now. I know that you've been losing sleep over that, so I thought I'd let you know. I know how much you all care. And I mean it. Where were we? We had Anthony Mason up there, and now Matt Hawkins. Nice listening to an intelligent mind. Where? Am I missing something? Oh, you mean me. Thank you. Thank you. You're too kind. Or are you talking to somebody that you're chatting with and you're not talking about me and that? Julia, you're a sweetheart too, indeed. That's why I support the channel. So much great information. Yeah. I joke about it. I've often referred to myself as a veritable shithouse of trivia. The Big Bang is an interesting study of bandwagon. So yeah, you guys get along real well. Wouldn't it be great to have a convention down here sometime after we do this for a while and have a 2 or 3 day meeting somewhere here in Florida, and people come in, and I mean, people do things like that. Maybe down there we do it. We started doing it in the drone community, having these fly-ins. A video popped up my screen in which a vegan doctor argued that fat, not sugar, caused diabetes. Yeah. I got a comment from one of those types today that was, if I wasn't laughing so hard at it, it would have disturbed me. It started out, to all you people watching this channel, heed my warning. Uneducated, stupid people like this guy are spreading advice that's killing people. And it just went on like that for a couple paragraphs. Yeah, I was ready to immediately quit YouTube because of that. No, but I get not a lot of it, but I occasionally get that stuff. I get the challenges. The challenges are the ones that you want to answer, but you know that there's nothing you can say that would ever change their mind anyway. And in order to say what you'd have to say to change their mind, you'd have to write a complete book, which they wouldn't read anyway. So, but I get a lot of challenges. And the last challenge I got, I actually did type a short answer. I never heard back from them. But the challenge was, how do I know that this carnivore thing isn't going to kill me in a few years? How do I know? After all, this is the part that I liked. After all, this is a brand new diet, and nobody has ever just eaten meat, so nobody knows what that does to the human body. So why don't you wait 10 years and see what happens to you, and then you can start talking about it. So my answer to him was, we've been eating this way for millions of years. We're sorry. How do you talk to people like that? They think that, where did all the Outback steakhouses come from if people have not eaten meat? For God's sakes, what are you telling me? That without a vegetable you're going to die? almost all the vegetables that we have today didn't even exist 10,000 years ago. It's meat we can't live without. Why can't they just get, why just can't get the, yeah, just ignore those people. Yeah, I can't ignore them because I have to dispose of them somehow. Or they keep, or their comments don't go away. See, what I get in my YouTube back end here is a place where I can go and have every comment from every video that I have out there ordered up nice and neat for me by, listed by, you know, how old they are and the fact that I have not responded. And the only way I can respond to these videos is to either answer them or click the heart, which tells them I love their video. I don't really care what these people think. I just want them to go away. My third option is to hide them from the channel. When I get a really obnoxious one, I just do that. And that's a nice thing to do because nobody can see their comments except them. So when they go back to see if I deleted their comment, it's still there when they go to look at it. But nobody else on the channel, including me, will ever see it again or ever hear from them again. So, and you have to do that because there just are those miserable people who have no life and have nothing better to do than just try to stir up trouble everywhere they go or steal money from you somehow. Some kind of scam or phishing scheme. I'm beginning to lose respect for just about everybody, but those of you that are here in our community. That's a sad thing. Very sad thing. Anyway, where was I? We're not going to talk about the Big Bang Theory. Of course, it's the Big Bang Theory. Then we get started on evolution, and then I'm in trouble again. So we won't do that. Let me look down the comments here. So many things have been lies, says 51 Springfield. How you doing? So many things have been lies. Thankfully, we are waking. Yes, we are. And I got news for you guys. If this hadn't worked so well for me, I probably wouldn't have believed it either. I mean, I was brought up all my life with this healthy fruits and vegetables crap. I mean, it's been around long enough to become conventional wisdom. It is just, you know, people, that's how it is. How can you're a denier if you say differently. It's like this friggin' climate change nonsense that they keep coming up with, which just happens to be a great excuse to get rid of the cows that we want to eat. Victory says, I asked you a question. Oh my God, Victory. Don't tell me I got to find your question. Where is it? Victory, I asked you a question. Okay, let me go back. I'm sorry, guys. I just can't keep up with the chat when I get off on these little rants of mine. But Matt Hawkins says, are you a professor? Well, it depends on who you ask. I'm laughing at that because, no, I'm not a professor. I'm a hell of a teacher, though. I come by it naturally. Nobody ever taught me how to teach, but I have a natural ability to take people by the hand and try to lead them through some complicated stuff. I have been a flight instructor for a few years back, right after I got out of the Army. I actually taught, I have a license. I have a flight instructor's license, an instrument flight instructor's license, a CFI and a CFII, and I worked at Colgan Airways in Manassas, Virginia, up there near Washington, D.C., just south of Dulles Airport, and I taught flying. So that's a serious thing to teach somebody how to do. And most people don't realize how serious and what a responsibility it is. Because there comes a point after 7 or 8 hours of flight instruction where your student has to solo. You have to turn them loose in an airplane alone. And they need to go out there and perform 3 takeoffs and landings after 8 hours of flight instruction. And you were the guy that taught them. And I got to tell you, I was a young guy. I was in my 20s. I never, ever, ever was ever hit as hard by the feeling of responsibility until the first time that I turned a student loose after 8 hours of flight instruction. A human being that put his faith in me, a 20-something-year-old kid, to teach him everything that he needed to know not to kill himself. And I watched that kid. We went around and we practiced for a half an hour in the airplane. We landed and taxied back up to the ramp. I got out. I stood there on the ramp and I watched him taxi away. And at that time, it was the most nervous I have ever. I wasn't that nervous when my children were born. I was the most nervous wreck I had ever been. Imagine you have turned somebody loose who's going to bet their life that you didn't forget to tell them anything or make a misjudgment about the fact that they were actually ready to take off in an airplane after 8 hours. And miracles of miracles, every student that I ever taught to fly successfully soloed and went on to get their license. But I learned more than just about flying in that little experience. It was a lesson in pure responsibility that I've carried with me the rest of my life. And I still feel that. And it is relevant in the fact that I sit here and I'm telling people what I think I know or learned about something that, if they do it wrong or inappropriately, might hurt them. And I feel that every time I make a video. So just so you know, if I ever seem like maybe I'm a little overly cautious and don't go too wildly flamboyant in my advice, that's why. That's why. I want to help people. I want to teach people. It would kill me if somebody got hurt. So I have to be very careful with that. Victory, I can't find your question. If you want to try it again and put a bunch of capitals in there so that I can find it. It's just there's too many people in the chat right now. I used to have somebody sitting here with me reading the chat, making sure I didn't miss any questions, but it was too much of a distraction, and I think I'm happier with the way the live streams are going since I started doing them solo. Points about ancient artwork, Mitch. Yeah, you won't find pictures of salads on cave walls. No. At most, agriculture's 10,000 years old. 10,000 years in the overall time of the development of genus Homo, which are the first humans, is in millions of years. A lot happened before that first stalk of corn was planted. For doctors, it's a paradigm shift. Springfield says they paid big money for their years of education. It's got to be hard to admit they've been lied to. Well, they weren't really lied to about nutrition. Nutrition was all but ignored. They get, most of these doctors get most of their education these days from the drug reps, along with a free lunch. The drug reps, the drug companies develop a new drug for a disease many doctors probably never even heard of, or a treatment, and then they send their reps out, which are all, good-looking people, hot-looking women with expense accounts. They have conventions in, horrible places like Hawaii and Las Vegas and the Bahamas. And they vacation and they go and they hear about the latest drugs, and they just believe everything that's is in the brochures. They believe everything, and then none of that stuff's really been tested. That's I heard Ken Berry make an interesting point one time, and he said that people complain about our lifestyle, about our eating just meat, that there hasn't been enough time for this stuff to be thoroughly tested. How can we do it? And then they turn right around and jab everybody with Ozempic. And the jab, if you know what I'm talking about, stuff that hasn't, ever really been tested. We're the test. It's okay for them to stick needles in us and stick medications in us that do amazing things, terrible things to our hormones, and then they chastise us because we don't have 1,000-year studies, controlled trials on a diet that the human race has been eating ever since the inception. It's crazy, but it doesn't. Nothing makes sense today. If I could talk about politics here, I'd really go crazy. When you talk about stuff that doesn't make sense, turn the news on in the morning. Look at this world. Look who's running it. It's nuts. It's absolute. And the people. And my theory. I'm gonna start to call it it's the idiocracy syndrome. There's two words you probably never heard put together before, but think about that. The idiocracy syndrome. I'm going to just look at the bottom of the chat now so I can keep up with the latest stuff. Upside Down World, Linda says. Yeah. How many of you have seen the movie, Mike Judge's movie, Idiocracy? About 30 years old. If you've seen that movie, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a movie that everybody in this world should be forced to see and understand what it means, what the future of the human race looks like if we keep going. Yeah, Julia saw it. I loved it. Idiocracy was it never did real well at the box office. I think it was too intellectual for a lot of people, even though it was a movie about what happened to the human race 500 years from now. And they predicted 30 years ago that the human race is going right down the path that we're actually going down now. And what's happening to us, I believe, is malnutrition. I think the cause of the stupidity and the insanity and the increase in mental illness and the increase in dementia and Alzheimer's and autism and all the other things is because we're not nourishing our brains starting almost at birth with these new kids. Because we're trying to keep them from eating meat. And the dumber we get, and the less we have the ability to do critical thinking, the more we just take the other guy's word for it and buy in to the Jerry Springer mentality of stupid people doing stupid things. And you see it as just the whole society degenerating. And something has to happen. Okay, Victory, here you go. Question. And also, do I have to restart my day count? So now I can't say I haven't been carnivore all those months. Did you say something before that, Victory, that I missed? Victory, here you go. I've been carnivore since July 7th, fell off over these holidays, and I can't get back on track. Please suggest how I can get back where I was. Okay. Well, you'll never get back where you was. I'd like to get back where I was when I was about 30 years old, but that'll never happen either, unfortunately. You can, however, be kind to yourself, not punish yourself. It happens. You can't cancel out 2 or 3 months worth of gains with 1 or 2 days of bad eating. But you can if you don't stop that bad eating after 1 or 2 days. So I would suggest that get back on it the way that you started it, even if it's only for a couple days. And my first rule in my video where I said, what do you do during the first 30 days, is I say, in the first 30 days, you have one job only. And that one job is to put down as much food as you possibly can without really making yourself sick from overeating. Eat. Of course, what you're going to eat is you're going to eat the appropriate foods. You're going to eat bacon and eggs and beef and whatever, but you're going to eat. Even if it's 6,000 calories in the day, just don't allow yourself to be hungry. Eat until the thought of food has you running away from the table. And if you get even a little bit hungry, eat again. And after a couple of days of that, you'll be back right where you were. Because that's what it takes to get our body switched back into using those fat-burning pathways in our cells and not the glucose-burning pathways. So I would try that, and I wouldn't punish myself. And I don't think anybody here, cares about whether you keep an accurate count of how many days you've been on carnivore. It's not. It's only important to you. It's important to an alcoholic how many days he's been sober, but it's an arbitrary importance. It's only important if it gives you the motivation not to go off, but it's meaningless if you've gone off. So jump back on. We're not giving out tokens like they do in Alcoholics Anonymous. I think it's a bad idea to count like that. A lot of people just need something to motivate them, to brag about. And it's good to brag about. I've been a carnivore for so long. But don't punish yourself. Don't worry about it. You're not going to hurt anybody's feelings if you just forget about this little slip up, and because everybody else is busy trying to forget their little slip up, and just jump right back on. Guy Carnivore says, what is WOE? WOE is a slang for way of eating. There you go. Carnivore. Lori got it. Way of eating. Yeah. We learn these things. There are other people that will tell you that's what you say to a horse when you want him to stop. But every field has its own little slang. Ah, man. Time for some Pellegrino. I really, tonight, didn't plan a whole lot of different things. I knew that once we got started in the chat, I'd go off on tangents and end up filling up the time anyway. Is it a woe or a diet? That's semantics, Linda. Words in themselves, you could have two different words for the same exact thing, and they could almost mean two different things. Lifestyle, diet. To some people, diet means restrict your eating. To other people, the word diet means it's what I normally eat. I might say my diet is only meat. But that's different than being on a diet, which means I'm not eating the stuff that I really want to eat because I need to lose weight. So diet is a terrible word. I don't like the word. It's a 4-letter word, actually. I don't like to use the word diet. Lifestyle sounds a little precocious. I mean, it just... You think of TV shows like The Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous, the lifestyle is something that everybody else seems to have except me. You ever get that feeling? These lifestyles. But I don't know what to call it. It's easy, it's simple just to call it a diet, the carnivore diet. But then that's what Shawn Baker called his book The Carnivore Diet, but then it just falls in with 1,000 other books, the diet books that are this diet, the Scarsdale diet, the potato diet, the Atkins diet. So I don't know what to call it. I end up calling it the carnivore diet a lot because I know that people understand. And you know what's nice is a lot more people are actually heard about it, actually know what it is. I used to say I'm on a carnivore diet. They look at me like I'm from Mars. Now they know. That doesn't stop them from telling me I'm killing myself, but at least they know what it is. Victory. Yes, diet is a 4-letter word and it starts with the word die. Diet. Yeah, I never thought of that. That's true. Weight loss regimen. Yeah. Yeah, Lori, it has. That's true. But I do want to lose weight. Well, you and everybody else, Sherry, we all want to lose weight. That's just a superficial. If you can really get people to be honest with themselves, you'll find out that, and it's almost evidenced by the dangerous and expensive things people do to their bodies to become what they consider better looking without any regard for the health hazards and risks. The drugs that they take without any to become thinner and more attractive. And that's normal for human animals. They want to be attractive because human beings want to attract other human beings because that's what makes the world go round. We all want to be attractive. There's no doubt about it. It's a hundreds of billion-dollar-a-year industry in us attracting potential mates. It's the weight loss industry. It's the clothing industry. It's the makeup industry. It's half, it's just a large portion of our economy is selling people things, products and services to make them more attractive. And what makes you feel more attractive than being in great physical shape? Because when you're in great physical shape, you don't need the clothes and the makeup and all that other, and the exercise, and you don't need that. You got it. You're attractive now. They'll come running after you. So yes, it is a priority, and it's not a priority that's caused by any outside influence. It is a natural desire of all of us to be able to attract a mate. And it isn't just humans. It isn't just humans. The mating rituals of the animal kingdom are fabulous. Fabulous if you've ever looked at them. And entertaining as hell. Everything from the bighorn sheep banging each other together, trying to, fighting for the female. Every animal has a mating ritual. The one that I thought was here we go off track, but it's entertaining. I mean, and it's interesting. And this is shit you will not hear anywhere else, folks. The animals want to lose weight too. Well, they don't really gain too much weight unless there are pets. Because if there are pets, we decide what they're supposed to eat, and they get fat and sick. They get fat and sick. Here we go. Preach, Mitch. Go says, yeah. The greatest thing I ever saw once, and I think it might have been on a National Geographic special or something. It was about this species of bird somewhere in South America. And what the males did, they each built, I don't even want to call it a house. they built a structure which was incredibly complex. And they were referring to it kind of like a condominium. And all the males would build these fabulous structures which would house them and the female if the female chose them. Because that's one thing about nature. And I mean, I hate for this secret to get out, but it's the women who make the choice, not the men. The women choose who they're going to mate with. The men, God bless us, will mate with anything that'll have us, pretty much. That's just the way it is. It's that way in all species. The men are always fighting over the woman's attention, and the woman is the one with all of the power in that respect. And humans are no different. That's why a woman will never understand what it's like to be a man, and vice versa. No matter how much we want to talk about equality, there is that difference. And in these little birds, the females, I don't know if they did it with a realtor or something, but they would visit each of the offerings of the different male birds and take a tour, basically, of this condo that this guy built. And they went with the guy, with the male bird, that built the condo that they liked the best. It's fabulous. And what my first thought was, I felt sorry for the poor guys that worked that hard, built all that shit, and then got ignored. I could identify with that, you know? But that's the way it works. So, of course we want to look good. That's where the phrase, it's better to look good than to feel good, came from. That's old Billy Crystal's Fernando character. You look marvelous, darling, and it's better to look good than to feel good, he would say. But it's true. It's hard to motivate people to, quote, diet for any other reason than to lose weight, because that's where our priorities lie. Whereas, once you get on this carnivore diet, yeah, you still want to lose weight. But after you've been on it a while and you've experienced the health benefits, then the weight loss side of it just seems to happen all by itself. And we actually stop concentrating on it after enough time, especially as you start to get down within 10, 20 pounds of your goal weight. And again, it depends on how much you really had to lose. These people that have to lose 300-400 pounds, I can't even imagine that. I think the most in my lifetime that I ever was maybe 50, maybe one time 60 pounds overweight, because I would never let it get that far. And when I see these guys 700 pounds, like that Bill Knott up there in Alaska, you know, how he's a great guy, and I admire his fortitude, but my first question in my mind is, how does anybody let it go that far? I don't know. I can't understand it. Our society is making it easier for people to let it go that far because of all the politically correct nonsense, anti-fat shaming, big is beautiful, TikTok with their 500-pound men and women on there stuffing their faces full of everything all day long, saying this is okay, you can't, we're not doing anything wrong, we're just as healthy as anybody else. And then they're all dead by the time they're 40. But there's no common sense. And people watch this. I struggle to get a couple thousand views on a video. They get millions of views. Look at me. I weigh 500 pounds and I'm going to eat 6 tons of food today, and I'm going to earn $35,000 because 5 million people are going to watch this video. I say to myself, maybe they got it right and I got it wrong. I don't know. That's why I say nothing makes sense anymore. Nothing makes sense anymore. And big fat mannequins at the store. Yeah, everything. The models on the cover of the magazines, these big people. And I don't know about you, but I think still what we find attractive is coded into our genetics. It's instinctual for us, which is why people have different types they find attractive, different shapes they find attractive. And they have tests that they administer. Some of these dating agencies, they'd show you all these different body shapes and say which one is most attractive for you. And you didn't have to even think about it. Instinctually, you knew when you looked at the picture. Oh, that's the shape that attracts me. And there's a reason for that too. Because a lot about a woman's shape, talk how strong she is, how it indicates how fertile she might be. And whereas women are looking for a protector and a provider in a man. Now, this doesn't work in a pre-politically correct society where we're all supposed to be exactly the same and interchangeable, but we're not. We're not anywhere. We're not in the animal kingdom. We're certainly not as humans. We like to think we are. Limitless Lane talks about how she was always starving. Okay, we got conversations going on in there that I couldn't possibly come in the middle. I can't help laughing at the RX commercials on YouTube that have morbidly obese models dancing on. Yeah. Oh, I don't know, guys. It's kind of why the last 10 or 20 years I've pretty much kept to myself. I don't find much in society that I find makes any sense, no matter where I turn. I find angry people that with no patience. Victims, I find victims everywhere. Everybody's a victim. And none of it's their fault. It's everybody else's fault. This is not a huge community that we have, but it's a community of people that have open minds. You got to admit to yourself, guys, you got to admit there's something special about all of us, about all of you. Something special about the way you think, about the fact that you are, all of you and me, we're all rebels. We all just don't believe the bullshit that they tell us. We question things. We're smarter. We are. I know that. I know that we're smarter because I've been interacting with you guys for quite a while now. We are more aware of reality than they are. We can understand concepts that they can't understand. We're not occupants of a popular culture. The most important thing to us is not who is winning American Idol this week. We talk about real things and important things that matter to our health, our well-being. And I really believe that. And I know that sometimes when I dive down some of these crazy rabbit holes, places that my brain takes me, and start trying to explain something in a couple minutes that took me 30 years to learn, I know that a lot of you, if not all of you, can follow me. And I see that by the fact that some of the things that you put in your comments show me that these things have clicked. So I keep doing it. And a lot of people can't follow me. And of course, anybody that has never watched this kind of stuff, not just me, but any of these people, they don't even understand what we're saying, let alone have the brains to comment on it. So all they do is what most of us normal people do, is they, and that's intelligent, I guess. Are hot dogs okay to eat, Matt Hawkins says. It depends. Depends what hot dog. Forget trying to find, I know some people have found them, but try to find a hot dog without some kind of soybean shit in it anymore. How much is another story. All my favorite old hot dogs, like Hebrew National, that were all beef hot dogs and just they had garlic, they had some seasonings, they had meat, they had organs in them, they had heart and all that stuff. I went looking for them again, and they're not the same anymore. Now they're full of all the same shit that the other hot dogs are full of. But that's still better for you than anything else, than any of the other processed foods. I heard Ken Berry say, if you have no money and all you can afford is Spam and hot dogs, you're 1,000 times better if you just eat the Spam and hot dogs than all the other crap that everybody else is eating, especially the vegetables. So if you can find a hot dog that has a very low carb count, that's the key, and look at the ingredients and make sure it's not loaded up with seed oils or sugar, it'd probably be okay. And if you can find one that has organ, that was the beauty of hot dogs. Everybody in our space wants to try to eat. Max says Hebrew National, Sabret, and Boar's Head. Yeah, I've heard that Boar's Head is pretty good. Hot dogs occasionally, red meat mostly. Yeah, that stuff won't hurt you. That's okay. That was going to be a subject that I wanted to talk about tonight. We've been at this for an hour and a half, and I think I'm going to make a video about this, but I'll touch on it briefly. And there's one. Yeah, I'll probably finish off the stream with this. I'm with you on what Spam Brothers. Yeah, Spam. Yeah. Oh man, that's been around a long time. It's. I like the fact that we call junk emails spam. Yeah, it shows you the regard that spam has. But they still sell a hell of a lot of that. They still sell a hell of a lot. Do you ever cook and eat pork belly? I haven't. I just eat bacon, which is pork belly. The only thing is I don't want to have to cure it myself. I don't want to have to go through all that. Oh, John Beatty Art. Thank you, my friend. Hi, Mitch. What is their digital sales app? I don't know what you mean by that. Digital sale. Oh, digital scale app. Oh. The digital scale that I have is made by Renpho, Renpho. It's on Amazon. If you go to my website, oldguycarnivore.com, I have a page that says links to stuff I use, and there's a link in there to it. And it costs $43. It's cheap as hell. And it's very close to accurate because I have a beam scale also. And they weigh to within 1/10 of a pound of each other. And those numbers are pretty close. You really want the real BMI, the real percentage of body fat. You got to get a DEXA scan, But the good thing about these is that they get you really in the ballpark, but they're consistent from one day to the next. So once you get a base reading, any changes are going to show up pretty accurately. You'll be able to get a trend line. And it's Renpho, and it's on my website. It's an Amazon link, $43. And it comes with, the app is there for it. And that app is tremendous. It has 13 different metrics from bone density to visceral fat, subcutaneous fat, total body fat, BMI, muscle mass, everything. And it's interesting. It's really interesting to see that. So John, check that out. And that's what I'm using. And I've been using it now for quite a while. Oh, hey, Pete. Pete's here, Primal Timeline. Hey, Mitch and team. Hope you're having a great holiday. We are. Thank you. Oh, Mitch tuning in to listen along. Great. Oh, we got over 100 people. I thought there wouldn't be that many people here tonight. I'm jealous, though, because Ken Berry had a live stream. I watched a few minutes of it earlier, and he had 2,500 people. I hate him. No, I don't hate him. I envy him. I don't even know if I envy him. I can't even, between you and me, I can't even imagine having two toddlers again. He's 55 years old. I cannot imagine having a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. Oh, man. My father did that. My father was 48 years old when I was born. 48. That was his first marriage, too. Anyway, what I was going to talk about, I said I was going to take this stream out with this thought, and I don't know if I want to, but maybe keep this in mind for the next time, and that is that my views, and I started talking about this a little earlier, my ideas and my views and methods about this are not fixed in stone. That's science. My mind is not totally made up. I believe what I believe until I discover something that's a little different from what I believe. And then what I do is evaluate it and try to work it into what I believe and see if it fits. And then maybe alter my beliefs just a little. Like the reason that I drink coffee is it doesn't make any difference. I know it comes from plants, but I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect me. And I think that trying to be a perfectionist and purist at anything, you reach a point of diminishing returns in everything that you do. You reach a point of where you do a lot more and gain almost nothing from it. So I still smoke my cigars. I drink my coffee. And I began evaluating a lot of this stuff over the past few months about spiking insulin every once in a while. And I made a video about that, if you remember, where I said, am I never going to be able to eat carbs for the rest of my life? And it was, the video was put out, I watched a video by Nadir Ali, who's a brilliant cardiologist. And there are reasons why, even beneficial reasons why, it's good every once in a while to get a little jolt of insulin and eat a few little carbs. That really mimics the way that our ancestors ate, because they did eat the sugar. They ate the berries when they were in season. The good news for them was they ate them all up and they couldn't get them again for a year. And if that's the way we were, we'd be perfect with it. But it turned out, it seems that just even eating them for a short time and getting that little bit of sugar had a benefit. Well, we all went ahead and got ourselves addicted to this stuff. And the problem is that eating a little bit every once in a while it might not hurt you, will completely throw you off your diet, and the cravings will come back, and you're done and you're sunk, and you gain all your weight back. So the primary concern for me about trying to be as true to carnivore as I can is not that I'm worried about what a handful of blueberries is going to do to my body and my health. It's the fact that I know the minute I taste that sugar, those addictions run wild, and I'm off the wagon, and off I go, and 50 pounds later, I get disgusted and start all over again. So from an addiction standpoint, I can't do it. And whatever little health benefit that might have come from spiking my insulin, I'll live without. And that was Dr. Ali's advice. And I completely understand. He also explained something that is another big question that all the carnivore guys ask, and none of them ever give you the answers or the whys of it, and that is, how come? Some of us have our LDL go down, some of us have our LDL stay the same, and some of us, like me, have our LDL go through the roof. Why? What's the difference? And I learned what the difference was, and it's great. It's great to know that. It's great to know that because it's one less unknown. And the difference, I'll explain this, and it is scientific. Have you, any of you ever heard of PCSK9 inhibitors? Mitch is on a roll tonight, Randy says. Randy, I'm on a roll 24/7. I never stop this stuff. I got an audience, I'm talking. I'm teaching. I love to teach. Anyway, if any of you heard of a PCSK9 inhibitor, Cranky Carnivore says, I did, yeah. A PCSK9 inhibitor is one of the forms of statin drugs. It doesn't work like a statin. It's a PCSK9 inhibitor. And what PCSK9 is a genetic location, a gene that codes for an enzyme with a name this long. And what that enzyme's job is in the body is to down-regulate LDL receptors in the liver. You know what LDL is? Low-density lipoproteins. You know that LDL is the lipoprotein that carries mostly cholesterol. The VLDL is the lipoprotein that starts out carrying cholesterol and triglycerides. By the time it makes its round and drops off all its triglycerides, it shrinks in size. It's got the LDL left, the cholesterol left, and it basically, if the cholesterol isn't dropped off someplace, it then returns to the liver, is picked up by one of these receptors, and is taken in the liver, reloaded again with cholesterol and triglycerides, and sent back out on its merry way to deliver these things to the cells in the body that need it, okay? Like a big warehouse. Well, the liver is covered with these receptors. They're like little docking ports where the LDL molecule will dock to. Kind of like you see at a warehouse where the trucks back up to. The PCSK9 enzymes down-regulate those little docking ports. Shut them off. Make them less active. The more and the higher level of this PCSK9 enzyme that we have, the more cholesterol. Sometimes I even have a hard time figuring out which way is which in this, because it's just something's doing a negative thing. At any rate, the more of these receptors that are not downregulated, that are active and taking in the LDL, the more LDL gets taken back into the liver, and therefore the level of LDL in your blood goes down. The purpose of the PCSK9 is to make sure the liver doesn't take in too much, take back too many of these things. I suppose that makes sense. It slows down. So the more of this enzyme you have, the less LDL is going to return and be taken back into the liver. I don't know how many of you are following me through this, but what I'm saying is what happens. Everybody has pretty much their own normal level of these PCSK9s, which is regulated. The production of these things, like any other protein, and an enzyme is a protein, is regulated by something telling the body how much of this needs to be made. And we all have different levels of that. And it turns out that the people with the highest levels, standard, normal, everyday level of this PCSK9 enzyme, are going to be the ones with the highest level of LDL cholesterol, because all of this PCSK9 inhibiting is shutting off the receptors to the liver, and it's not taking the LDL out of the blood as much. It's leaving it in the blood. So the rocket scientists at these drug companies decided, Well, here's a way we can lower the cholesterol. What we need to do is inhibit the production of this PCSK9 enzyme, hence the term a PCSK9 inhibitor. And by reducing the amount of this enzyme, fewer of the liver's receptors will get downregulated, and the liver will take more of the LDL back out of the blood, and the LDL will go away. Well, this same philosophy, the same thing happens to people who go on a high-fat, no-carb diet. Something changes in our bodies that increases the amount of this PCSK9 so that the liver doesn't take back in. And it all, I think, has to do, and this is just my logical common sense theory about it, is we need more fat. We're burning fat. We need to transport a lot more fat around our body. We need more cholesterol to fix things. We don't want to inhibit the warehouse. We don't want to shut the doors in the warehouse so the trucks can't get out. We want those trucks out there on the road delivering the building materials. We're burning that stuff. We're using that stuff. We're not using sugar. We're using fat. And in a person that's eating like I'm eating, where my LDL cholesterol used to be like 125 when I was on a regular diet eating all the veggies and sugar and stuff, on a carnivore diet, my LDL is 300, which means to me that my PCSK9 production has ramped up to keep the liver from sucking up all this extra stuff I'm making because I need it. I'm making it for a reason, which is why I think the high LDL in what they call lean mass hyperresponders, which I'm pretty sure I am, is a necessary thing, and it's why I don't worry about it. Now, does anybody out there know more about that than I do right now? I don't know. I don't know. I certainly don't consider myself an expert in this stuff. I'm theorizing here. I'm theorizing. And Ali said one thing in his video that was brilliant as far as I'm concerned. He explained why, in his opinion, some people don't experience the high cholesterol, and it has to do with their own personal machinery that allows the synthesis of this PCSK9 enzyme, because we all are a little different. And to me, I understood everything he was talking about because of my background of studying this stuff. I knew what it all meant right away, and it made sense to me right away. The hard part is for me to try to explain this. I don't have books and charts and graphs and things, but it makes sense to me and it makes me comfortable. And I'm going to try to, I have my physical coming up here next week, and I'm going to try to explain this to my doctor because I keep teaching her shit every time I go in there. Anyway, I don't want to see the deer in the headlights look from you guys, but the point I'm trying to make, and the thing I launched off on this little adventure was the fact that I am not an anal retentive carnivore, if you know what I mean. I am not an obsessive compulsive carnivore. I am not a perfectionist carnivore. I'm a practical one. I am concerned with only one thing at the top of my list, and that is avoiding cravings and falling off the wagon. That's where the harm will come to me and to so many of you, because we're all worse carb addicts than we ever think we are. We all think we can handle this stuff. We all think we have the willpower, and we find out time and time again we don't. We're fooling ourselves. I keep trying to tell you why we're fooling ourselves. We have no control. Survival is at stake as far as our subconscious mind goes, and it's going to make us do the shit that we don't want to do and give us the reasons why it seems like a good idea at the time. Hence, we all utter the famous words after we've done the dirty deed of eating the crap. What was I thinking? I keep joking about that, but it's true. What was I thinking? Well, the truth is we weren't thinking. Thinking was taken away from us by the animal inside of us that had to have that sugar and was going to get it however it needed to. Just like every other animal on the planet that doesn't think. We kind of revert back to that. And I think that's just reality. I'd get people to argue with me, people who think that we as humans are just so superior. You ever seen the way some humans actually can behave? They are animals at the root and heart of everything. More of them than we'd like to imagine. At any rate, because I get people comment to me, how could you drink coffee? Coffee comes from a plant. I don't care. We're designed. We have the machinery to handle all kinds of foreign matter and poisons and things in us. They're not going to really do any damage. The reason I think low carb is the way to go because I think sugar is a poison. You just need to eliminate that. But any of these other things in tiny little quantities, I even got chastised because I used grapeseed oil to season my carbon steel pan. If you know what seasoning is, where you put the oil in there so that it polymerizes. I go, what are you talking about? I'm not drinking grapeseed oil. I used it to season a pan, for God's sakes. I don't want anybody to ever think that if I could eat once a week a cup of blueberries, I think there's enough merit in that I would do it, at least seasonally, at least when they were in season, because then that really mimics what our ancestors used to do. They used to eat that stuff in as much as they could get in them while they were in season, because it helped them survive. I would do that. I don't think that would hurt us. I can't do that because I'm an addict. I'm an addict because these instincts that we have from way back when have been hijacked by profiteers, by the food companies and drug companies that knew that if they ran their business based on the addictive model, that they could make fortunes addicting us to this stuff for life and health be damned. Maybe at the time they didn't know. Maybe they didn't know. More than likely they didn't know. I don't know if they thought they were really that evil. I don't think they knew that this shit was the poison that it is. But it's too late now. They do know now, and I don't see them slowing down any. So if I would have had any regard for them or given them any benefit of the doubt, I withdraw it now. I'm done with that. Let me take one last look at the chat here. I've done it again, guys. I have gone off on like I do. I hope you like that stuff, and I hope you follow me through it. I hope that maybe I've given you some food for thought. Oh, Cranky Carnivore question. I'm just over second day of fasting. Any idea why I have gas? The only carbs over the past week. I couldn't tell you, man. I couldn't tell you. All I can tell you is I don't fast. Once I did a 36-hour fast, and that was only because I went to that keto conference in Orlando where I met Ken Berry about 5 months ago, and I lived an hour away, so I didn't get a hotel room. I just drove over there in the morning, and I didn't take any food, and there was nothing over there I wanted to eat, and I wasn't all that hungry, and I just went over. I didn't even think about food all day. I got home about 8, 9 o'clock at night. I still wasn't hungry. I went to bed, got up the next morning, got my car, drove back over there, still hadn't eaten anything, and finally, when I got home that day, I ate. And that's the only fast I did, and it was just a matter of inconvenience, not the fact that I consciously tried to do it. I fast for 18 to 20 hours every day, and that seems to work for me. I know there's some benefits of fasting, but at 138 pounds right now, the last thing in the world I want to do is lose more weight. So, and as far as autophagy goes, I think I'm in pretty good shape. For a guy that used to be heavier, there's areas I have some loose skin, but nothing that would make me ashamed to be seen in a bathing suit or put my picture on a thumbnail on a video with my shirt off. And that is me, and that is how I look. 76 and a half. Falling up and down and get back on, it's like climbing a glacier with ballet slippers. Yeah, you guys, you're all great. Let me put a plug in for the private community. And I see there's a sea of green in the chat. That makes me feel good. All these guys are really into this, and they come. And Thursday night I'll be here at 7 o'clock. We'll have the private live stream where you can actually come in and meet. We can meet face to face. And it goes nowhere. It's private. It's not out to the public. It's like a private Zoom call almost. It'll never be public, and nobody has to be embarrassed about anything. I would love to see that grow more than it's growing. I also only see 3 likes on this video tonight. Why? What happened? You guys don't like me anymore? Not that that really matters. They say it does to YouTube. You know, I got a website. You know, we got t-shirts. Check it out. oldguycarnivore.com. Check out the website. Here's my commercial. And I think, I'm looking at the bottom of the chat, I think that almost 2 hours. Refresh Mitch, 97 likes here. Oh, okay, thank you. Let me refresh this and see what happens. 100. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, guys. Gee, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that to you. I haven't been looking at that browser. All right, I feel better. You do love me. Okay. That's why we do this. We want to feel appreciated, and we certainly don't do it for the money. Oh, guys, thanks so much. Thanks so much. I'll be doing a video or 2 more this week. If you have anything you want you want to see me talk about on a video, I never run out of stuff to talk about. But I do tend to lean towards addiction. You may notice that. I'm convinced that it is the biggest problem in American health today is carbohydrate addiction. I believe that anybody with any introspective that looks at their own life and their own behavior honestly and asks themselves, why the hell do I eat that crap that I know is bad for me and I know makes me fat and I don't want to eat it? Why do I eat it? And do I eat it? And I think that most of them would have to answer yes, even though you know it's bad for you, even though you know it makes you fat, even though it makes you sick. You still can't avoid it. You still are drawn to it and you still eat it. Well, if that isn't addiction, I don't know what is. Everybody I know, everybody, I mean virtually everybody is like that. Unless they're one of the lucky 10, 15% of people that just have the physiology where they're not prone to this. They're the people that can open a box of cookies, eat one, and put the box back and not touch it till a week later. Most of us know once the box is open, it's gone. A box of Cheez-It crackers in my hands will last 10 minutes. I don't care if it's the big family size box. It's gone. A gallon of ice cream. Forget it. That stuff has a lifespan of minutes in my house. That's why the first lesson I learned is you can't have it in the house. So it's important. And I talk a lot about addiction, and I do it because it's not something you're hearing on 50 other channels every day about what you have to be thinking about and what you really need to address. It was the only way I ever fixed my problem. Julia, are going to watch your interview with Dave Mack next? Oh, okay, Julia. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. All right, guys. Ask my 600-pound weight loss, Pat Ramirez, do you think what they're eating is bad for them? Oh, my 600 pounds. Yeah. They don't think about that stuff. They don't think. Most people don't think about health. They don't understand what's going on inside their body. They don't want to know. They just want to, it just makes them feel good to eat. They get a dopamine rush. That's why we're addicted to this stuff. All right, everybody. Did I miss anything? If I did, I'm sorry. We'll do it next time. I will, hang on a second, bring up my exit music. I like that. Cool. All right, guys, I'm going to take the rest of the day off. Oh, Julia, you're getting around, aren't you, man? You're just everywhere. Carnivore Crusader. I'll have to check out some of your interviewers. Well, you're much prettier than me. They don't want to interview me. All right. All right. Good night, everybody. I enjoyed it. I always do. Thanks for hanging around, and thanks for coming to visit with me on a holiday week. I will see you Thursday night, guys, in the private group. The rest of you, take the rest of the night off and eat meat.